Hello friends, I am Dr. Vasim Shaikh. In today's video, we will see the step-by-step method for writing a research paper. So let us start. Writing and publishing research results is an integral part of a researcher's professional life. However, writing is not every researcher's favorite activity, and getting a paper published can be very tedious and time-consuming process. Fortunately, many obstacles along writing and publishing path can be avoided by following some simple guidelines and practices. So in this video, let us see what are the different guidelines which are there. By following these guidelines, I am sure it will be very easy for you to write a research paper. So the main thing which you want to start is the selection of topic. So you want to select a topic in your area and you want to select a topic that challenges you, and mainly you want to figure out what is your technical area of interest, and that should be your topic. So why selection of the topic is important? Because your attitude towards the topic may well define what is your enthusiasm towards the topic. If the topic which you have selected is of your liking, you will be very enthusiastic to work in that particular area. Also, you want to focus the topic down. It should be a very narrow topic. The topic should not be very broad. So you want to limit all the aspects and you want to narrow it down and to a very specific topic of research. So when you want to select a topic, you have to get your advisor's approval. So if you are watching this video, I know you must be a bachelor student or a master student or a PhD student, and you are working under a guide or you are working under a professor, and you will always need that guidance because you can't do a research work individually and alone. So you have to have a guide. So once you select the topic, you want to talk to your guide or your supervisor about the topic and you want to get their approval, because in this process you both are working in this area. So if you select a topic that is out of the reach of your guide, then he may not guide you properly, he may not help you in that area. So it is better that when you select the topic, you first go to your guide, you talk to your guide, and then you get your guide's approval. That is the most important part. Select a topic that you can manage. Avoid topics that are already done, that are already learned, and avoid topics that have a very narrow range in terms of source material. So when you are searching the topic, you know that this topic is pretty good, but you see that when you search for material for that particular topic, you are stuck. The material is not there, the papers are not there, and then it will be very difficult for you to start off. So that is why you want to select a topic in which you have at least some basics are available. So once we select the topic, generally we forget about the basics. So once you are good with the basics of the topic, it will be very good for you to conduct the topic, and then you can advance in that particular area. Or else again you have the knowledge of the advanced thing but the basics are not there, then again that it has a problem, because when you are writing a paper, you want to start off the paper with the basics, you want to produce some literature of the basic studies, and then you progress and you advance in the paper and you talk about some advanced things which you have done as a research and development. Then once you have shortlisted a topic, the next thing is that you may take 2-3 years to complete that topic. You need to update and keep on updating yourself with the topic. That is again one most important thing. So you can't do a literature review once and then you stop and then you do your work, because nowadays every 6 months or so the technology is changing and a lot of new things are coming in the market, and you need to update yourself with all these topics. Only then you are up to date with whatever is going on in the market in your field, and then you can provide the solution to the people accordingly. So how to select a topic and what should be done to select the topic? The first thing you need to do is to start reading. So you need to read. You need to read journal articles, you need to read books, you need to read magazines, you need to go through the internet and lot of things. Just go on reading and reading, and then you need to find out what is the gap in the literature, and then you can pick up a topic. Then you need to do a lot of Google work, you need to do a lot of Googling of technical paper, and there are a lot of papers around, there are a lot of technical journals around, and lot of plagiarized bad journals are also there which are floating around the internet. So you need to be very cautious, you need to be very careful while you select the topic. So my advice to you is that you need to talk to your colleagues, you need to talk to your professors and guide, and take some names of good journals and that should be your starting point. So don't just go to the journal, because there are many paid journals, there are many plagiarized journals, there are many journals which are there which are of no use, and then you can just get the paper published in that journal by paying some money, and then it is of no use. So basically you need to shortlist a journal, and you need to shortlist the papers from such journal which are very good in their field. Next thing is that for selecting a topic, you can also go to some conferences. So generally when we go to conference, what I have observed is the topic which they are discussing is the future topics which are going to come in that particular field. So as a new researcher, it will be very good that you can learn about these topics, and not same exactly that topic, but in that domain, in that area, you can narrow down some topics, and that should be your topic for your work which you can select. And conference is a very good starting point, because people who come in the conferences and they talk about their research work, and they talk about lot of advanced research work which is going to come in 1 or 2 years down the line. So that will be very good as a starting point for you to select a topic. So go to conferences. Now, how to find out information for selecting a topic? You need to search the internet for general or background information. Check out the useful URLs, journal information online or encyclopedia. That should be the starting point for you to find information. And use the search engines which are there. Don't use just one search engine like Google. You can also use the Yahoo search engine. You can also use Bing search engine. What I've seen to my surprise is that some of the search results which all these different search engine gives are little different, and you can utilize that different searches which you have. Now you need to pay attention to the domain from where you are looking on the internet, because on the internet lot of information is there, and according to me 95% of the information on the internet is useless information. You need to filter out this 95% information and get that 5% information which is useful for you. And you can check out the domains. Domains means the website. You need to check out the URL of the website. Like if you see .edu, .gov, .org, all these are very reliable websites, and you can take the information from these websites. It will be very good for you. But any other .com where you can see, but the information may not be reliable. So all these agencies which are there, lot of reliable information you can get from these particular sites. Read existing papers. So you need to read the existing papers. Once you have shortlisted the journals, you have found out the papers, and then you need to read these papers, you need to read these journals, and then you need to find out your topic, and then you can start off. But you need to be very selective for not getting too much deviated from the topic. So generally we tend to download 100 of papers, and then finally we don't know where to start, what to do. So according to me, shortlist a very narrow topic and then search paper in that particular domain, so that you don't deviate from the topic. And then you just download 10 to 15 papers, 20 papers, but read those papers thoroughly, so that you get to know the basics of the literature review, and then you can start off from that, and then you can build on your topic based on those particular 15 to 20 papers. If you read, that should be fine. So when you first start reading upon new field, you need to ask your fellow colleagues and ask your fellow researchers that what should be the journal where I should start. So you should get some names of the journal, you should know, or you should get the names of some conferences from your colleague and your guide, and then that should be the starting point. Because you are new to the field, if you just search on the internet, you will be lost and you don't have a way. So just to get a jump start, to get a start point, you need to ask your colleagues, your friends who are there in the field, who are working in the field, and basically from that you can just start off. That will give you a jump start, and you can start off for your topic selection. So you have downloaded around 20 papers, and according to me, reading someone else's research work is very difficult. It is a very difficult to understand the research paper. Sometimes what happens is you need to read the research paper again and again to understand the research paper. That is why you should not be overwhelmed by downloading hundreds of papers. So rather than that, download 15 to 20 research paper, and then you can read them. If you don't understand, you can read them again. And sometimes there are different jargons, because you are new to the field. You can just type on in the internet and search for those jargons, and then that is how you build on your research work, and then you can select the topic, and that should be a good starting point. So when you are reading the paper, you need to write down the information you are generating from the paper. So you need to write down the speculations, you need to write down the interesting problems, you need to write down the possible solutions, you need to write down the random ideas, you need to write down the references which you need to look up, because in these papers you have lot of different references which are given. So the research paper have also got these ideas from some other papers, so they have listed and jotted down those papers in the references. So you need to look up those references as well, and you need to outline or summarize the paper, write it down, you need to write the important points in the paper. All these things you need to write down, and you can revisit them again to get more information later on in future. So once you have written down all this information, you can visit them periodically, because now you have summarized the paper and the information is there, but you tend to forget the paper. So you need to come back and revisit. Also, according to me, you need to keep a journal. You need to keep a journal or a book, whatever you have, and then you need to write all the research activities. You need to write the ideas what are generated in your mind, and just keep a journal handy, because when you read and when you jot down these things, what happens is you tend to remember. If you just read and then you think, no, I'll write it down later on, or I'll keep it in my mind, generally that does not happen. You tend to forget. So it is better, whatever idea you are getting from the paper or anywhere in general, you just write it down, and you can revisit that, and then you can pick up a specific topic from that, and you can narrow it down for your research work. So once you have written all these ideas, you need to identify the problems which are there from these particular ideas which you have written down. So you have written down random thoughts, random ideas from the research paper, from the articles, from the magazine, from the internet. Now you have to formulate the objective. You need to create a problem for that. You need to find out what is the gap in these research work which people have not done, and then I can contribute so that it will be helpful for the global community. So you need to shortlist some of the problems which are there in these particular things which you have listed down. So the more you read those things which you have listed down in the journal, you can feel that all these bits and pieces randomly they are coming together, and then they are forming a pattern, and then you can formulate a good research objective and a good research problem from all these different bits and pieces, and they will start falling and coming together. So once you have finalized your problem, then you need to formulate the objective. So clearly you need to list down the objectives of your research or objectives of your paper. So they can be 3 to 4 points. The objective of my research is so and so, you need to put on, and then you need to specifically focus on these particular objectives which you want to conduct. Then you need to write down what are the assumptions. Assumptions are also very important, because generally when we are doing research, we are tending to assume lot of different things, and we need to write down all these assumptions. And again in the paper you need to write down what are the assumptions that you have in this paper, and so on. Also you need to write down what is the limitation of the study. So there will be limitation in your study all the time. You can't have a study without any limitation. So limitation means that if you are doing the research work under so and so parameter, under so and so condition, only then the research work will be replicated or it can be reproduced. So if someone else wants to produce that particular research, they want to reproduce that particular result, they want to look into these limitations, that these are the limitations, and if these are the limitations and I overlook these limitations, I may not be able to replicate the study. So limitation, you need to list these limitations, and it is very important. So once you have listed all these points, assumption, limitation, objective, then you start with your actual work. So actual work that you are doing, the experimentation, you are making the prototype, etc. And then you are doing the actual research work. You are gathering the data. So you are doing the experiment, you are collecting the data, you are analyzing the data, and finally you are getting the results from your data, and then you are discussing those results, and all these things are done, then you are ready to write a paper. So what should be the essence of your work? The essence of your work can be diagnosed by looking into these points which are there. So the significance. So why is your study a significant study? What is the topic? What is the important topic that you have studied upon? Whether this topic is good or this topic is an obsolete topic. So you need to think about that, how significant is your topic and how significant is your work. Then how original is your work, whether your work is novel. Then you need to think about the aspect of novelty and originality. Then you need to see whether your work is complete or not, because sometimes we might think the work is complete but it is incomplete. So if you try to publish or write a paper based on that, it will be very difficult for your work to be getting published or written. So have you tested all the aspects and all the scenarios and seen whether your work is complete? Also correctness, whether your work is correct. Sometimes there might be a possibility that there might be an error in your work and you may not be aware of that. So you need to look into all these aspects, whether your work is significant, whether it is original and novel, whether it is complete and it is correct. So you need to work upon these four factors, and this is the essence of your work. If you are good with all these four aspects, then you are good to write a paper. So let us summarize and see what are the steps in writing a research paper. So we start with the topic selection. We select a topic, we narrow it down, we do a lot of Google work and we find the information from Google. We read a lot of different paper, we read the existing paper, we find information from them, we write down the ideas from this paper. After we write down these ideas from the paper, we tend to formulate the objective and then we finally do the actual work, and then we have some data, we have analyzed the data, we have discussed that data, and we are ready to write a research paper. So thanks for watching this video. So before this video I had a video on why we need to write a research work, why it is important. This video tells us about how to write the paper, and the next video will tell us how to publish and how to promote the paper. So thanks for watching, all the best.